I was up in Breckenridge with no mask, and they made me wait outside in the frigid cold for my table. Yep, and no apology. They felt absolutely justified in doing that. Thank you, sir. But he can't live in that world because he puts people in blocks, and you have to be either A or B. That's the great problem. That chair, looks like you're going to offer me the red pill or the blue pill. You know, the Matrix actually has some of the most interesting philosophy. It's a great thought experiment if you really think about it. You're sitting down at a table and somebody says, on this hand, I have the ability to take you to a new reality. And in this hand, I have the ability to return you to the reality that you currently exist within. So under what circumstances would you go to a new reality versus go back to the reality that you're in? It's a really interesting philosophical question. So a lot of us, when we're younger, we're not so attached to this reality. We don't have kids. We don't have a wife or a husband. We don't have money. We don't have property. We don't have accomplishments and reputation and these types of things. So, you're 18 years old and they say, go to this new reality. People sign up for the military, the Peace Corps. People go study abroad. They go to radically different places. They become radically different people because they're loosely attached. So they take the right hand. Then the older you get, the more integrated into the system you get. Then there are consequences. You get to go to this magical fantasy land, but by the way, you'll never see your wife and kids again. You get to go to, this wonderful new country, but by the way, you might never see your parents again, and they're getting old. When you're young, your parents aren't old. They're older, but they're not infirm. They're not going to die. Your parents are in their 70s, and you go home for Christmas. Look at the average life expectancy. You may only see your mom and dad 6 to 7 times more for the rest of your life. Think about that. You don't think about that. You're like, but no, it's 6 years, 7 years. That's a long time. Yeah, but you only see him once a year. You see him for Christmas. Oh, my Lord. So it's a fascinating thing because I think about it a lot myself. When I was young, loved traveling. I loved not having encumbrances. I really enjoyed new things and getting to basically go to a new existence all the time. One place, there was this restlessness of identities and places. Now that I'm older, I have all these accomplishments. I'm the founder of Cardano, self-made billionaire. I have a beautiful ranch. I have all this stuff. Would I take the pill to go do something else and have all that disappear? And this is why I think psychedelics are so powerful, because they give you a window into a reality where perhaps you did do that. And then they also convince you of the impermanence of all these things. Because all the encumbrances on the left-hand side, as permanent as they seem and integrated as they seem, perhaps they're not a big thing. There's no greater example of that than a gentleman who took salvia. It was a drug that he bought from some convenience store, because apparently it was a loophole and you could buy it. It's highly concentrated. Never tried it before. He lived up in Alaska, and he smoked the salvia. It was hyper concentrated, so it had a very strong trip. And he woke up, disassociated, woke up in the body of a person living in Texas. And salvia has a unique property that the physical, actual temporal high in our world is only a few minutes. But your perception can be years under high doses of the lived experience. So this particular person time dilated, woke up basically as a new person in Texas with a wife and kids, a family. And so you spend a little bit of that time like Picard in the inner light saying, oh my God, this is not my life. What the hell is going on? Fighting the whole thing. And people said, no, you hit your head. And that's why you think you're this way. You don't live in Alaska, you're down in Texas. And eventually resigned himself and accepted the new life. Was living the life, working, waking up every day, going to birthday parties, anniversaries, all these things. And after 8 years of existing in this alternative existence, then said, well, actually, woke up in his original body, and all of his friends were around. I was like, dude, are you okay? You were convulsing on the floor. And he's like, where the hell am I? Where's my wife and kids? They didn't exist. Maybe they did in a different quantum reality. Who the fuck knows? That's a powerful trip. But imagine that. And then how do you reconcile those two worlds? Because then he has to reintegrate into the old life. So he went back to Texas, tried to find his old life, drove around all the places, tried to find some familiarity in a town in Texas he thought he lived in. He'd never been to Texas before. That town actually looked very different from the town in his mind. He's like, did I hallucinate all of that? Or is there a world where that actually existed? What was the better life? The dude doing the drugs in Alaska or the dude who's got the wife and kids in Texas? How do you come back to that? Left pill, right pill, right? It's an interesting thought experiment. Under what circumstances would you look for a new thing? And under what circumstances would you stay with what you got? And what trade-offs would you like to make? And what type of world are you looking for? Where would you like to go with that world? And would you take salvia again to try to get back to that family in Texas?